welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all well. And those of you that are self-isolating, I hope you're doing fine. I'm trying to give you plenty of content for people that are stuck indoors at the moment in this crisis that we're going through. But yeah, I just thought I'd do a bit of a comparison test on my latest pickup. As well as that, there's something else I was just a bit curious about, and I'm testing it now, which I'm going to show you anyway. So again, those of you new to the channel, if you haven't already, show us the love, slap that subscribe button, ding that bell for notifications so you don't miss any upcoming episodes, and give us a big thumbs up if you like the channel. Make sure you check out the other videos. There's plenty of content on the channel. I think I've got over 60 videos now, so we're growing really fast. We've hit 227 subscribers, so let's see if we can get to the 500 subscribers over this weekend. Save you all watching Netflix, watch me. So yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to say, as I said, we're going to do a bit of a comparison test. I'm going to compare all the Legend tools that came with it, and a bit of comparison between that and up to the latest date generation, obviously the Avalier. Then just a bit of a tool. I'm going to show you there's major differences in some of the tools that I didn't really realise until I actually put them out on the floor today. What we'll do is we'll get straight to it. So as you know, apparently it's rare in America and the UK. I'm not sure about Australia, but it's a rare 1991 Legend 2. So I was quite surprised with some of the tools that it actually came with, and I was expecting it to come with the old caddy, but obviously from what I've been told, it came with a new caddy, which is what had the G3 tools with it. Some of the tools I remember from my mum having the Heritage, so the shampoo system was sort of the same, but I was just quite surprised by some of the old tools. So I mean, on a comparison, I mean, if we go back to 1991, and I'm assuming it goes back even earlier than that, I'm not too sure. So comment down below if you've got a Heritage, because I cannot remember for the life of me whether my mum's Heritage parts were the same. So to start with, we'll just do a bit of a portable tool or hand tool comparison test. As you know, with the 91 version, we sort of got the caddy for the G3, and we sort of got a bit of a mismatch of tools. Now I remember the old Heritage, and I'm pretty sure the poles were a lot longer than what you got. So I think obviously with this style you've got the new poles, which in comparison are exactly the same and haven't changed from that date to today's. So this is an Avalier 2 and this is the Legend 2. So exactly the same, so they haven't changed since 1991. I think these were a better design because obviously you just push them and twist and it locks. So they work quite well. And you did that with all the tools. So next up, we've got the air intake. Now I cannot remember whether the Heritage had a connection for the handy butler. I'm pretty sure it did on the earlier models, because I'm not sure how people fitted the handy butler unless it connected on the other side where the bag goes. I'm not too sure. So comment down below, because I haven't seen an old handy butler. I've just seen a little YouTube video. I think Jay Kelso did one on YouTube, and I did put a link on one of my videos to that. So this is the intake. That actually started off like that. And it's quite small, surprisingly. But then when we changed to the G3, and I've only got a G4 one, it changed to that style, so you could put a bit of lint in there, spray a bit of perfume, and spray that around your house. Then after the G4, we went on to the G5, and it changed to that style, if I can remember rightly. I mean, this is a G6 one, but it changed again. So it's gone a bit more rounded, a bit more airflow, I'm assuming. Just a bit more the way it's designed to suck the air in, whereas this was a bit restrictive going up and in. This one actually just sucks it straight in. And then we go on to 2018, and we've got this style. I know the centuries were the same. This was actually adapted for the handy butler to fit onto. So that was just the intake airflow. Now this is where it gets a little bit weird for me, because obviously Kirby were into transition going into the G3, so I must have been redesigning the tools and just put what they had redesigned with the Legend at the time, and obviously going through a redesign process and changing the process. Now I cannot remember the life of me. I'm pretty sure the G3 one was the same as the G4, but what you've got on here is an extra bit that does that. So I think that was a major improvement when we go on to this, on how they actually designed it, because they actually moulded that as one, which was 10 times better. And that's the floor tool. The other thing they did as well, obviously this was open and this one was closed. Like I said before in my previous video, you had a little bar here on the up to the century of one that you could take out and clean the wheels. On this one the wheels were fixed, so we've gone back to fixed wheels. I mean, this one you can actually access and pull the hairs out. These ones you sort of can't. I don't know how, or if anyone knows how to clean them. I just have to keep vacuuming them out constantly. But that was just a little bit weird for me, how we've gone from that to that. So I think on the G3 it actually was that style. So Kirby was obviously in a transition and did that. Next up we've got, I'll keep throwing these to one side, you've got your adjustment tool for your airflow. Now these are exactly the same, so they haven't changed since 1991 either. So we just put those to one side. Next up we've got the crevice tool, exactly the same. So if I remember rightly, this was a great improvement over the previous model. Obviously this was going to be the G3 version, which they did with the Legend. So that is exactly the same length, exactly the same tool. The pet groomer hasn't changed at all. It's exactly the same. Duster brush, again, exactly the same, just different colour. So again, this hasn't changed whatsoever. I mean, not that it needs any improvements, I think it works really well. And it's really cool for unblocking your sinks and your drains. Well, this one hasn't changed, is we've still got our inflator nozzle, which, again, exactly the same. So this is since 1991. So next up obviously was the handle. Kirby made it a lot easier. With the old system you put a bar through, which I'll demonstrate when I go over to my Legends in a second. But then obviously the handle changed on the G3 to just a little slot in and a push button on the back, which works fantastic. It was a great improvement. They actually did away with a little storage compartment where you could store your spare belt. If you would demonstrate, you could store your salt in there, tip it on the carpet, and that's just somewhere. But I find that really handy for storing a spare belt anyway. I've had quite a few Kirbys where I bought them and there's been a belt in there. Well, oh, extra belt, which is pretty sweet. But they've done away with that. Obviously people didn't use it. And what I found with these as well, I've had a couple where this is actually broke. So this might be a bit of a design feature, and that's why they've done that a bit more stable there. That's probably a lot stronger than what this one is. I haven't had any of my machines break, but I've just bought a few where they've actually broken that. That was the handle. Next up, obviously the shampoo system. This was a major, and this was quite shocking when I opened this actually, because I always remember my mum having a Heritage, and from what I remember rightly, there was a little strap and you could hook it over your shoulder, which was quite cool for when you were vacuuming the stairs. And judging by the weight of that, it wouldn't have been that hard, because to me that's a lot lighter without a tech driving it to actually hook over the stairs. So when I opened this, obviously I've never used it, and there's the little strap, which is quite trendy, that you hook on and you can carry your Kirby up the stairs, have it hanging out by the side here, or you vacuum the stairs. And we've got a little rubber seal, and shampoo. Ooh, smells old. But yeah, so that was quite a shock seeing that in there, because I was like, where's the strap? Obviously I've never used it. So the suds gun actually changed. I think you adjusted this on the back, if I remember rightly, and then you could press the trigger different distances. So that was your adjustment there. As they've changed the G3 or newer models, it actually moved that adjustment onto there, which was quite cool. The end nozzle changed from a little round one to one you can actually adjust, which is quite cool, because you can have your foam coming out upright, or you can have your foam coming out pretty flat. So I was quite impressed with that. So other than that, not a lot has really changed tool-wise. I mean, the wall and ceiling brush, exactly the same. It might have been different on earlier models. I say I've only got this, so I'm assuming that's like a same style as a G3. But it's exactly the same. So I find what Kirby tends to do, I mean, if they've got old stock of G6 tools, they would have just kept them, and then they could use them and sell them as Avalier products anyway, because they're exactly the same colour. So it's a bit of forward playing, I think, in that respect. And one of the other tools was obviously your upholstery tool. So obviously it came with the G3 version, which then carried on to the G7. This is a G6 one, and it had an end cap on there. I think this one's missing. And then obviously go through to the Avalier and the Centrias. Before that, it actually changed to that design. So I think Kirby found that obviously if you get more airflow, you get more suction. So that's why we put these little grooves in there, as opposed to this, because when that actually sucks onto the material, it's quite strong. And you've got no airflow, actually you've got a little gap at the side, and that's about it. Whereas obviously with it going to the front, you get more airflow, you get more suction, vice versa. So that was the end of the tools. So what we'll do is we'll jump over to the Legend 2 and we'll do a bit of comparison on what they actually updated on it to the G3. Well, so we'll start off with the comparison on obviously on the handles. And I think Kirby were mainly thinking about obviously home demonstrations and the quickness of actually assembling this, because when we go to the old Legend and probably before that, the bag system obviously just hooks on, which wasn't a bad design, and then obviously I'll show you down the bottom in a second. But then if you're assembling it, obviously you've got a screwdriver and you'd have to screw all this handle together and it takes time. Whereas with the newer system, it's literally this twisty thing here that actually holds your lead in. So all it was that screwdriver, pull that out with the spring and you can undo that, tighten it up and you can attach it together. We still kept the coin collector on the back, which was quite a cool system. And the leads would have locked in exactly the same process. The major design change that they did have, and we'll just zoom down for this one, and I thought this was a fantastic one, and I'll show it zooming on the bag as well. Sorry, the bag system changed, and what they actually did, obviously this was just a twist system. There was no actual safety switch on there, so I don't know if we were going into the 90s and safety was a reason that they actually did this, but they changed it from that system to where you've actually got a safety switch on your G3 and your G4 where it wouldn't actually work unless that was actually plugged in, or whether it was just the fact that was aiming up and it blew you in the face, where the other one was just aiming backwards. But yeah, that was quite a good design change as well. Then if we go onto the bag, so I'll take this bag off anyway. So if we go onto the handle system was quite simple. With this, it was just literally a case of obviously undoing your lead, and to get your handle out, it was a little bar that pulled out. And then what they did, which I thought was quite ingenious, and it ended up like a bit of a seatbelt clip type system, which they still use today. So it's just a case of pushing a button and pulling it out. So that was a major improvement over having to put this in like so, and then fit all your little bar, get it in line. As well as that, as I said in the previous video, my mum's broke purely because we had someone visiting who was about 3 or 4 and he was hanging on it and it actually snapped the cast. So I thought that was quite a major improvement. Now the one thing I did miss, and like I said earlier, Kirby had a little strap. So what you did, you'd put your handle on here, like so, get your bar and put that in again. And obviously if you want to vacuum your stairs with a hose, the issue you had was obviously you couldn't take the Kirby up with you. So you need a longer hose. And we'll come back to that one in a minute. And I think I know why they actually did this. So you had a little strap that you hooked on, like so, and you could hang that over your shoulder with the hose on. Obviously with the head off, it'd be a little bit lighter. So, I mean, that isn't that heavy. I haven't weighed it, but that's a lot lighter than obviously what that weighs, and that's got the head on, but obviously it's a lot lighter. So they changed that process. Which I think that they could have carried that over to the G3. I don't think you have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger to have that over your arm to carry your G3 over your shoulder. Obviously you gain a bit of weight with your tech drive, but I did think that was quite a good idea and was quite confused when they actually did away with the strap for that reason. Then obviously we've got your total control stayed the same. That one had Micro Magic on it. This one didn't. This one just ended up having arrows on it. And then obviously they fitted your tech drive. What I found with this as well, since owning it, and I haven't got to use it yet, but when you've got the handle on and you've got the head on, like so, I find it, if it's not wound all the way, if it's not protected down, with the handle forward, it is like tippy, whereas this is as well, but not as much because you've got the weight of the tech drive at the back. So you can see that there. And obviously with the handle adjustment, that moved from there to the actual front on here, which I thought was quite a good design uptake. I mean, so the next change as well was obviously the safety switch. So on this one, your safety switch is all sort of external. And then on the G4 or G3, that belt's still wound on, I think. So it all sort of went internal, which was quite a good idea. Because I don't know whether these would tend to break or whatever with people tightening them, but everything else sort of changed, stayed the same. The body actually changed, obviously, because they've made bigger internals in it as well. And we've got a bigger motor as well, so we jumped from a 560 watt motor, I think it is. So on the Legend as well, we'd got a 485 watt motor for your carpet, and then it jumped up to 560 watts when you connected the hose, obviously because you're losing that airflow, just to give that bit of extra suction going through. They've still got that on this as well. So your G4 was just a straight 700 watt motor. So again, the other major difference was obviously the bumper. These just slot on. These are actually riveted, which is a bit of a pain when you're trying to clean it. And obviously your power nozzle actually shrunk in size. So this was actually, and I haven't got a brush roll in to show you, but this was actually 15 inches wide. So you had a 15-inch wide power nozzle, and then it dropped down, I'm trying to scratch it, to 14 and a quarter, 14 and an eighth. So it went down to 14 and an eighth. So you're losing like 3/4 of an inch width-wise, but obviously with a bit extra power going, you're not going to notice that much. And the best thing they did change, and I haven't got a brush roll to show you, but the old brush roll I threw away. But I know the adjustment on these, when it's slotted in, there's 2 little screws, and you'd adjusted them up or down, obviously down, to lower the brush as it wore down. But I mean, this is a fantastic change that they actually did when they changed it and had these, so you just spin the ends from 1, 2 or 3. So I just thought that was a fantastic improvement. Oops. And the way this actually slots on over your bumper. So we'll just slot that back on, let's turn the belt off. So that was a major improvement for the 90s. So I mean, so looking at the difference between them, it's like going from the 18th century to like Welcome to the Millennium back in 1991, which was quite surprising. And then, as I said before, we gained the tech drive, which was a massive improvement. And by today's standards, actually by today's standards, I mean, it made the Kirby a lot heavier, but with the tech drive you could actually move it a lot easier. And the advantages as well, I mean, with the crisis we're going through at the moment, if you can't get out to the gym, just knock your tech drive off, because you'll have a hell of a workout. Trust me, I've done it. So what we'll do is jump over to the next segment. This is just something I noticed today when I was actually looking through my tools and comparing them. So we'll just jump straight over to it. What I was doing, I was going through my hoses and just seeing if there was any difference that had actually changed, and they actually had. I mean, these aren't as squishy as what the G3 and G4 was. I think we converted to, I think it was neoprene, so you can actually twist these and they'll just jump back to shape. I don't know if you could, I wouldn't try to do it with that one, I'm not too sure if you can. I can't even remember the guy's demo, but I mean, we've gone from whatever that is, 6 foot hose, and then when we go on to the G3 or the G4, the hose length actually changed. So we gained about another foot. So I'll set this tape up anyway. So we went from a 6 foot to an 8 foot. So we gained an extra 2 foot because we've gone from a 6 foot to an 8 foot hose on the G3 and the G4. And we gained more power. So obviously, with the hose being longer, we needed the more power because we're trying to suck a bit through a longer straw. So I think that's why they upgraded the power on the G3 and the G4 as well. I mean, we've got jumps up about 160 watts or 140 watts, I can't remember offhand, from one to the other. Now, when we compare that to the Centria, I think the hose shrunk down again for some reason. So that's the Centria one, and we've lost about 6 inches on the Centria one. So the Centria was a shorter hose. Then we go on to the Avalier one, which was even shorter. We'll try that with the Centria. Yeah, it's a little bit shorter than a Centria. But then we jump over to the Avalier 2, getting abundance of hoses here, and we're a little bit longer than a G4. So we've gone up, down, up, down, up, down. So the hoses are going shorter and longer all the time. Now, then, just before that, what we had was the stretchy hose, which I think is quite cool. But I've got this against my Avalier 2, and when we stretch it out, see how much longer it actually is than an Avalier 2 hose. And it actually, it's about 3 foot. Yeah, so it's about 3 foot longer than your Avalier hose. So, I mean, if you should use that in an earlier model, it'd be about 3 foot or 2 foot on an Avalier, about 2 foot on a Centria. No, about 4 foot on a Centria, sorry, because the Centria was even shorter. So it's worth investing in one of these anyway. I think it's brilliant. We haven't got a staircase to use it, so I haven't used this. I didn't even get a chance to use it in the UK because I bought it just before we came. But yeah, it's just amazing how the hoses have actually changed. I mean, they're all neoprene. That doesn't seem as adjustable as those. Might just my G4 one's a bit older, but that just seems, yeah, a bit more responsive. So they might have changed the plastic over time, but that's just showing you the difference between the hoses. I mean, there's different lengths. I say we started off with a very shortish hose with the Legend. I'm not too sure what the Heritage were. I'm assuming they're the same size hose. And then we've sort of gone a bit longer and then a little bit shorter and then back to different lengths. So I just thought I'd show you that because it was just, to me, it's quite surprising now that the hoses didn't stay the same length. Okay, then with the shampoo systems, I've obviously compared this to the new Avalier version. But when you look back on what you had back in the 80s, it's a major change. I thought it was a spider then. That's damaging marble table. But the tray was roughly the same, all they changed was the ends. So the tray is exactly the same. Obviously we've gone from a round shampoo tank to a bit more of a design of a square one. I'm not too sure whether they hold the same amounts. There's no on-off button on this, like there was on the newer versions, so they actually put an on-off button on them. So if we compare these two by today's standards, there was some major improvements back in 91. Obviously these just slide off, which that one did as well. But then if you wanted to change the brush roll, then you'd have to, with this one, you'd have to actually unscrew it. So if you're using your floor buffer, you would unscrew that, put this in, and then screw it back together, which was quite back then, probably a long process for people back in the 90s. Me personally, if I'd have bought a Legend 2 back then, and then the Generation 3 came out, I'd have been quite peeved the fact that I'd end up with an older system, that the major changes on the G3 were just astronomical. You know, it literally takes you seconds to take that one out, whereas this one you've got to go and get a screwdriver and do it. But the brush roll looks identical, the bristles look in exactly the same position, so the shampoo system itself wasn't any better, it was just exactly the same, apart from the fact you could turn the shampoo on or off, or up or down, so in that respect it was better in that respect, but cleaning wise, I think it'd do exactly the same job. And then again, if your belt broke, again you'd have to unscrew it to get it out to change your belt. Obviously then we had the carpet napper to get your nap back, which was quite a good thing. So that was the shampoo system. Again, major improvements that they made back in 90 or 91 was quite surprising. So compare the instruction books, obviously they've shrunk over time. We had a little bit of printed page, a bit of colour, but then everything was black and white. It must have been cheaper printing back then to actually do just a plain colour with the grey rather than actual photographs. So yeah, I mean that's the old instruction book. And then if we jump over to the Avalier, I haven't got my G4 one, I have got a Centuria one as well, but obviously these were just photos now, so obviously over time photos have been come down in price, and they can print these, you know, at a reasonable price, and you actually get a colour as opposed to grey, yeah, grey and a bit of purple. So it just shows how printing's come down in price over the time and over the years. Okay, so comparing them wise from 1991 to 2019, 2019, I think Kirby have come a long way in 28 years, 29 years. I mean, this, obviously it looks old. My son can't stand it, but I think it's quite sexy for the time that it was made. And I know I said I would have been a bit annoyed if I'd have bought this and then obviously the G3, but obviously when you compare it, the improvements were fantastic back in that day on what they actually did and what they improved. But this is quite a sexy machine, and I do want to see how it actually performs against the G4 when I actually get the brush roll, when it turns up from the States. Obviously in the economic time we're in now, I don't know when that'll be. So again, I'm just trying to do some content on what I can at the moment. I'm still waiting on the roller bearings for my G4 as well, coming with that. So I don't know where this channel's going to go. I'm trying to get it to go as far as possible as I can. I want to get this done so I can get some comparison tests, and I'm going to buy some of my Kirbys as well. But yeah, I want to thank you all for subscribing. The channel's going fantastic at the moment. The views are fantastic. Obviously YouTube was sharing it a lot more. I just needed to share them a lot more because this is what I want to do, is concentrate on the Kirbys, and again start running competitions as soon as I hit 1,000 subscribers. I've got that G6 I'm giving away, which you know, so make sure you enter that competition. We're literally, I think it was 227 the last time I checked. I may have jumped, I think it's actually 229 now, so we've jumped up again another 2 subscribers. So thanks again for subscribing and supporting the channel. Once we hit 250, I'm hoping we do that before the end of the day, so I can get another video up with the question, and then 5 lucky fans can go into the draw. So it's going to be drawn at 1,000 subscribers. Then when we hit 500, again I'll ask another question, 750, and then 1,000, and I'll give that G6 away to some lucky person. And it is a fantastic machine. You've seen the condition of it. If you haven't, check out the video. It's up of when I actually picked it up and when I polished it, and you can check out the video of when I actually unboxed it again to actually show people what they're going to actually be winning. But yeah, I'm looking at getting this channel to 1,000 subscribers, giving that away like Kirby. I want to get in contact with Kirby, but I do want to start giving away things and getting free stuff off Kirby, just to promote what Kirby vacuums can do. As we know, I say, you know, even by today's standards, Kirby's are 10 times better than Dyson's, and we all know that. The Avalier 2, a fantastic machine. I love it. I think it cleans really well. It's a lot lighter, and if I compare it to the Centuria, the only issue I had with my Centuria, and I have sold my Centuria 2 now, so I could get hold of this, but the only issue I had with my Centuria was obviously, which is carried on to these as well, was, as I said, the lead tends to split. But on the Centuria I found, after owning it literally a couple of months, this handle used to wobble, and it got worse over time, and no matter how much you tighten that up, it still wobbled. So I think that's a fault that Kirby actually solved by this redesign, and I think the Avalier 2 looks sexy as, to say the least. I'm on and ahhing now whether I prefer that or this, because yes, it's old, yes, it's retro, but for the time, and it's a nice looking vacuum. But if you've got an Avalier 2, enjoy it, enjoy what you've got. Don't flog it on Gumtree just because you think it's a little bit heavy. Use a tech drive. And again, like I said before, if you can't get to the gym and you need a bit of a workout, turn the tech drive off. You'll definitely get a workout. Going from this to that, you know, we've got LED light. I did put a video up because the LED blew in my Centuria, so I had to change it in the Centuria. So there wasn't no video up there. So make sure you check that one out. I've got loads of videos on changing the brush rolls and that. I will be doing some on this when I actually get a brush roll that can actually fit in it. But yeah, I mean, we've gone from safety switches, that we had safety switches fitted, we had the safety switch actually internal, a bigger casting. Then we've gone from using aluminium cast, we've gone to a polyurethane base. on the Avaliers and from the Centrias, I think that was. The G7 was the last one with an aluminium cast base, and then obviously they went to polyurethane to make it a little bit lighter. But then with the Tech Drive, it's, to me, I think it was about £1 lighter. I'm not too sure. I haven't weighed them. I think you can check my video out where I did do a comparison in weight wise between the two. Love the Kirby vacuums, and I think I always will. Converted my son to a Kirby owner, so that says it all. And I've bought and sold about 8 Kirbys in the past 12 months and converted people to actually Kirbys. So I think for a second-hand vacuum, if you can get a Kirby, watch his channel, subscribe to it, check out the tutorials. There's loads of information on here, and just enjoy it. Just enjoy your Kirby. At the end of the day, you know it's cleaning your carpet. You know it's doing the job you actually paid it for, and you know it's going to last you at least 25 years plus. I mean, my G4's proof in the pudding for that. So for once I thought I'd actually sit on the settee instead of kneeling down like I normally do. I hope you enjoy the video. I hope there's a little bit of history and information in there some people didn't know about. I mean, I've been quite surprised on things I've found with the Legend 2 compared to the G4 and onwards, and the major changes that Kirby actually did. And we all know it was for the better. The improvements they've made over the years have been fantastic. And yes, I love my G4. I think the Avalier 2 is a fantastic machine, but over that I would have just kept my G4 if I'd have upgraded it earlier, because it's just more aesthetics. But I will do a review on the Avalier 2 and what I think about it. I think I've had it about 9 months now, so I'll do a bit of a review on what I think about it, the pros, the cons, things like that. Yeah, let me know what you think. If you haven't already, again, show the love, slap that subscribe button, ding that bell for notifications, give me a big thumbs up, and make sure you comment down below. I will read the comments, as I always do, and I will reply to them. If I like what you comment, I'll pin it to the top of the video. Don't forget, we've got this massive competition out. I think we're on 227 subscribers as I speak, so we've gained, I think it's 9 overnight. So yeah, show the love by subscribing. Let's get these numbers up. Let's make this the biggest Kirby channel going, and I'll see you in the next one.